Before we start that, we have to say a big thank you to our sponsors that have enabled us to be here today at the show. So a big thank you to Paul Myers of Britpart, Del Wheeler of 4x4 Off-Road Driving School, Gary Wood of Alive Motorsport, Richard Canterbury of RCM, and Paul Jones of ProLinks. And of course, they say an army marches on its stomach. We're no exception. So we have to say a thank you to John Aston of Voxcloud and Chris Bowler of Cambrian 4x4 for keeping us fed and watered by sponsoring our catering today. Thank you very much. So now I'm going to hand you over to Henry Webster, talking to Max Cooke and Hemmy Smith on the way forward and the future of off-road motorsport. Henry.
Thanks, Gordon. Fantastic to be here with Max and Hemmy. We've got one thing in common, I think. You guys are a lot younger. You're starting out in your off-road motorsport career, but we're all second or third generation off-road motorsport competitors. So one of the things is we've all found out from our parents about the sport and have ended up getting involved ourselves. So, Hemmy, your father Guy competed back in the early 80s. Do you remember any of that?
No, not really. I remember watching him at a few races, but that's about it.
What was it about? I mean, I take it you got it from him. What was it about seeing what he did that got you inspired to have a go?
Well, I think to start off with, it was just that I was really proud of him and I wanted to sort of share it with him. So it's just got involved, and then I ended up loving it myself, and yeah.
Max, both your grandfather and your dad have been involved in off-road motorsport, and now you.
So yeah, I was. I think I was a couple of weeks old at my first event. Remember it clearly, not. But yeah, my granddad started off. He was in a Series 1 Land Rover. He tells me many a time he went to an event with just a spare wheel and his sandwich box. So I thought I'd follow him with the same tradition, but forgetting the spare wheel. I've definitely got my sandwich box in with me. But yeah, my granddad raced for many years at an Inter club on a small budget. Obviously, he then started. He was then met Tim Marsh. Him and Tim then pursued many hill rallies and bespoke buggies that Tim built himself. They got friendly. My granddad worked at a Land Rover dealership. And at this Land Rover dealership, they proposed an idea of building a Land Rover-based vehicle that looked like a Land Rover 90, but didn't actually share a single panel with a Land Rover 90. And at this point, my dad was servicing the area. He was around 17, 18 after he just completed his scholarship. So he was then, I was obviously not even a thought at this point. I was just in the background. He then began racing with this blue Land Rover with my granddad. They did really well, obviously getting many results, hill rallies, stuff like that. And then the earliest memory I can remember is him coming home in the blue Land Rover. And to me, it was just the best vehicle ever. That blue colour still sends shivers through me when I see it now. So yeah, like I say, from the age of early as I can remember, I've always been lingering around, getting in their way, picking up their bad language, picking up their bad mannerisms and sorting the car out and just having an absolutely awesome time at events. And for me, it's not a passion or a hobby, it's just been a way of life. So for me to even get behind the wheel and doing something like this is just something that I can only dream of, really. So to be actually doing it and partaking is just brilliant.
And so you're both starting out, really, in the first few years of your competition life. So, Hemmy, you've just done a whole series of all-wheel drive, but you've done competition before that.
Yeah, I did a little bit of side-by-side for 2 seasons, and then I navigated in Ultra 4 for 2 seasons, and then, yeah, I've just done all-wheel drive.
And how's this year gone?
Really good, actually. I mean, I've done nothing too severe, so I think that's okay. I've just sort of been learning about the car, obviously learning about the sport, and then towards the end of the year, I got a little bit more competitive, trying a little bit harder, because I wasn't so scared that I was going to destroy the car, because I've picked up a new skill set, and then, yeah, looking forward to this year.
So I heard you put some pretty good times in towards the end of the year.
I think they're okay.
I heard it was in the top 3 some of the times. It's pretty good going.
Yeah, I think they were for the last 3 laps it was, but not quite done enough. I was still 5th overall when we finished. So.
Pretty good place to end the season. So what are your plans for this season?
I've still got the same car I had last year, my Can-Am, and then I think I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm definitely going to do some all-wheel drive this year, and I'm hoping to be a bit more competitive and try a bit harder this year. So, yeah.
And you only passed your test last year?
Yeah, in November.
So you got special dispensation to race throughout last year because getting tests through over COVID's been such a difficult thing.
Yeah, I was racing on a provisional license since April, I think, and then I only just passed my test in November. So yeah, we had to get permission to race on the provisional, but they were really accommodating, and they went through a lot of effort to get me racing, so I was appreciative of.
Fantastic. And also in that year, you also went to France for an event, I believe?
Oh yeah, Severn Valleys we went to, and it was like a promotion thing. So it was like in the race, but we didn't have the pressure of the race, and it was an amazing experience. We just like got loads of experience, but yeah, like I said, we didn't have the pressure, and we could still try a little bit. And me and Philippa, who I had navigating for me, we both learnt quite a lot, and we also just really enjoyed it as well.
Fantastic. Sounds like a great way of getting involved in something as complicated as a French two-to-round rally. And I took it, you managed to do the recce as well on a quad?
Yeah, I think that was exciting. I nearly flung myself off my quad about 10 times there.
Yes, you end up doing a lot of miles on a quad doing the recce for one of these French events.
Yeah, I think I'm safer in a car than on a quad.
I am too.
Yeah.
So Max, what about you? What's your season look like?
So this year we're going to be competing in the all-wheel drive championship. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, can't make the first event. So we're looking to just get as many events under our belt as possible this year. Trying to get as much time in the seat, just get used to the car, get used to obviously just racing. Really, I don't have a great deal as experience as what Hemmy does. I've done a small bit of trialing previously. So for me to just get as much time in the seat will be brilliant. We've obviously got my little sister who is over there. She's looking to do getting with me for a few events, and obviously, like I said, she's chomping at the bit. She would like to have a bit of a go, so if, we're going to take advantage of the all drive and do a few entries of double driving. Gives us both a great chance to get behind the wheel. Like I say, other than that, we're just, once we've done the all-wheel drive next year, I think this year just going to try and get the finishes in, get the reliability really dialed into the car, and then maybe next year we'll have a go at being competitive once we know what's needed, what my driving style. Because like I said, completely new to the sport. I've sat with my dad, I've had a few lessons, but at the moment all I want is just some reliability and good finishes under my belt, and just have a laugh, because that's what it's all about.
And so you both started out with UTVs, so you're both in Can-Ams, quite similar cars on paper at least, I guess, sort of slightly different modifications to each. So you've been building yours up over the last 6 or 8 months, or?
Yeah, so around Christmas time, me and my granddad had a moment over a coffee, as they usually come from, and said, like, after many chats with Guy Smith, who's been a sort of mentor and sponsor towards me, saying, the Can-Am really is what could be the future of this sport, looking for some manufacturer backing. We've got lots of development, testing's already been done. It's a proved platform that's already there. It's absolutely perfect. So with GSR Racing, all we've done really is add a motorsport approved roll cage on it, a few subtle tricks and bits on it, but other than that, it's pretty much a bog standard Can-Am. So racing that, for me, it seemed like a real logical option, because obviously a lot of our sport was a Land Rover based product and stuff like that, but coming across the Land Rover products now, they're a bit few and far between. Some stuff's like hen's tooth, and it can be quite expensive, so to have that availability of products and stock just on the shelf ready to go overnight, it really allows for some nice racing, because it's not hours and hours spent in the garage with very little time on track. So for me, that was a real appealing option, and we bought the car, obviously fitting in around Guy, trying to keep out of his hair, stop drinking all his coffee. We finally managed to get it built over sort of a 12-month period, but it was just such a long time, because we wanted just to make sure that everything was right on it. And it's about doing things correctly to a kind of budget, but the budget just was lost about the second week, I think. But yeah, we've eventually got to where we want to get to now, and I'm really pleased, and I couldn't have got there without both Guy and my granddad. It's been a real journey, but I'm just so pleased with how the car is now. So time to get it muddy now. As much as I don't want to, it's time to get some mud on it.
So you had a few test miles, but not yet raced it?
No, so all I've literally done is I fetched the car about 3 weeks ago, and I've literally tried it up and down a farm lane once, found a few niggly bits of it, but other than that, I haven't actually had much chance to really get in the car. So yeah, the first time off the start line will be a bit of a shock to us both, I think. But yeah, it's difficult to try and test the vehicles because obviously unless you get yourself in an event, you can't really go many places. I mean, like obviously Hermione's lucky living on a farm. She's got a big garden. She can have a little bit of a go. But unfortunately, I live in the middle of a housing estate, and the neighbours don't really appreciate me working late at night, let alone tearing around the estate. So yeah, that's all we can do at the moment. So we'll see what happens.
Would you agree that that's a bit of an advantage to have a large garden to play in?
Yeah, maybe.
So you've gone down a similar route. You've also got a UTV, another Can-Am, but you've spent the last couple of years developing it. How is it?
It's great. When I first raced it, it was like proper standard everything. And to be honest, now it's not that much different. We've made like a few changes, only like really small, and they've made quite a big difference, to be honest. And now we've just sort of been tweaking it a little bit through the season so it's more tailored to me. And yeah, that's about it really, but it's good now.
Have you got anything particular that you're thinking that you need to do to it, or is it just pretty much ready to go now?
No, I think we've got it pretty much ready to go. It's all right.
And how do you find driving it after? So you had a smaller UTV for the side-by-side racing?
Yeah, that was a Polaris, like tiny thing, about this big. Yeah.
So it's quite a different kettle of fish there.
Yeah, brought a completely different dimension to it, but I much prefer that. I feel a lot safer in this. I used to roll my other one like every race, I'd be on my roof, but now it's more like every other race, we're on my roof.
That definitely sounds like an improvement.
Yeah.
But that doesn't sound like that's a habit, at least, which is good.
No, well, I'm trying not to anyway.
So would you recommend UTVs as a way into the sport for somebody who wants to start?
100%, because as Max said, it's like, they're not stupidly expensive. They're easy to drive really, and they're fun to drive. You can really just enjoy it, and there's not like loads of things you've got to think about when you're driving. So you can literally just get in, put your foot down, and get on with what you're doing, and you've not got to worry about a load of things. It does make it a lot easier to really get into the sport.
So no gears to worry about for a start.
No, never in the wrong gear.
Which is really, really helpful. What about you, Max? Would you agree that it's a sensible way for people to start?
Yeah, I mean, I think they are absolutely brilliant. For someone like me who's obviously driven Land Rover products before, it's almost a step back to learn how they are, but it's a short lesson. I mean, for example, what Hemmy just said, like being in the right gear all the time is so overlooked, but it really, really gives you a massive advantage. I mean, I know I've raced like Land Rover products, and the gearbox has been referred to as like stirring soup with a dead fish. They're not the most kind things to drive, but to get in it, all you have to do, and I mean this, is literally just point the thing in the right direction and keep your foot down, and it will take care of you. I mean, I've seen them go up some climbs and stuff that the most modified Land Rovers have struggled to get up to, so it does remove a great deal of worries, and all you can concentrate on then is just making sure that you're not smashing into any trees or anything like that. You're just purely getting your nice clean lines in, circulating, and they're just a brilliant package really. And for someone that's never had any off-road experience or anything like that, coming new into the sport, it's just perfect. You get in, you point, you press, and it will always get you there, and it will look after you while you're doing it. So, and also they're really, really good on fuel. And it's an overlooked thing, but when we're using 10 jerry cans a weekend in the other car, for me to then go and use like 2 to 3 is a massive difference. So, for some people, the upfront investment could be seen as a little bit expensive, but in the long run, I think the longevity of the product really does pay off and gives it a good package overall.
And a lot of fun, and clearly able to compete right at the top level with a UTV. So we talked a bit about this last year, but as I say, we're all kind of third generation, so we've all been introduced to the sport by our parents, one way or another. How do you think we can attract the next generation of off-road motorsport competitors?
I think I said something similar like this last year, but I think social media, to be honest, because we've just got to get your sport out there to people, because it's a bit of a niche sport, to be honest, what we do into it. Like, not a lot of people know all about it, but it doesn't, I mean, it's not cheap, is it? But it's not one of the most expensive motorsports, and you've still got the experience of sitting in a car and driving around some fantastic tracks. So it's not something that will appeal to people. They just generally don't know what it is. So I think if you're just pushing it on people all the time through like social media and stuff, then it's going to attract people.
And so do you have a social media account? Are you pushing yourself?
It's funny you should ask that, actually, because my mum's recently made an account of me, and against my will, and she thinks it's great. She's having the time of her life, but that's her way of contributing to what mine and my dad's sport, so I can't say anything. I'll just let her get on with it.
Very good. Max, how about you? What do you think we should be doing?
I think social media is great. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's free. Coming to days like this, absolutely perfect. I see hundreds and hundreds of green laners, all that sort of stuff, and I can't understand why people aren't coming towards the sport. I understand a little bit of the financial side, like Hemmy said, but I think if we can, really advertise the younger generation, for example, like one of my ideas that I'm looking to promote this year, going to have some conversations hopefully with the right people, is sort of under 25s championship or class, something to really, keep it close between us, make some close racing, because at the moment you go in there and you're just racing against the big boys. And like most motorsport, it is assisted with a big wallet. So if there would be some sort of support from, I'll be happy to donate or assist with this, like a potential scholarship to get someone involved, just completely fresh blood, someone who's got no idea or absolutely anything. If there was a potential for, a cheaper based Land Rover product or something, it hasn't got to set the world alight with speed. It's just to get them round, circulating. That would be absolutely perfect. So yeah, that's going to be approach the right people. And hopefully I'll get some support with that. But I think also another way is obviously the CCV trialling. That's really, really good. That seems to be quite popular. There's, for example, the Rover clubs and all that sort of stuff. They have very big weekends, the major trials. There seems to be a lot of people there. So getting sort of people, because there's thousands of people that love Land Rovers, and I just don't think they know it's out there. It's when you explain it to people, they always relate it to the Dakar, and they know the bowler products and stuff like that. But you've got so many manufacturers that are building brilliant, brilliant cars that they're just not getting the limelight that they should, really. So I think that if we can, like I say, potential for, I seen Ultra 4 was on Top Gear last weekend, really just approaching these people and saying, look, there's this motorsport out there that's a lot cheaper than, the likes of what you're promoting. Hopefully we can really try and get the clientele in that we need, because there's just, at the minute, it just seems to be that there's no fresh blood in the sport. It'd be nice to have someone that's got no idea, a complete blank slate that we can really just like mould in, and then hopefully that should bring in other customers, because the more people that come, the more people to race. It's just, and for everyone it's more fun. So
yeah, for sure. I think the scholarship idea is a great idea. I think we just need to find some willing sponsors to help support that and get some people in a car and introduced to the sport. I think that'd be great. What are your ambitions, Hemmy? Where do you want to go?
I think I want to stick with my Can-Am for a little while, because I'm quite enjoying where I'm going with that. I just want to do the best that I can, to be honest, whatever that be. I'm just enjoying doing my own thing at the minute, really, trying as hard as I can.
Sounds like top step of the all-wheel drive club podium would be a good place to start. So Max, what about you? Have you got any long-term plans or ambitions?
So obviously this year, like I said, my ambition is just to get the finishes in, get some time behind the wheel. Next year, looking to be a little bit more competitive. The one thing I've always wanted to do is beat my dad. So I know he's out there. I'm going to have him. Eventually I will beat him. He's always been a sort of hero, so it's a bit of a funny one. I never really want to beat him, but deep down I think it's going to happen. But no, like I say, a few years in the Can-Am will be perfect for me. Really get some, ground knowledge, reading the ground. And then eventually I would like to build a car with Guy Smith and get out to France and show them what the Brits have got, and potentially in a real distant future just be up there with the top boys trying to get them big podium finishes and getting to the top of the game. So it's just a matter of time of learning the ground, learning the car, and just seeing where we get to, really. So looking forward to the journey.
Fantastic. I think it's generally the case that sons and daughters are faster than their parents, so watch out, Ryan. I think he's coming your way. But fantastic to speak to you both. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you have an amazing season this year, both. I'm sure you will. Enjoy it, stay safe, and look forward to seeing you next year with some silverware.